Joe, let me do an intro just whilst we wait for D.
we actually started. We are recording.
Yeah,
aren't we,
yeah.
now?
Fuck it. This is a bit of an ad lib podcast anyway. So anyway, viewers at home, welcome back. Episode 8. Here we are, and we've not fully prepared for this podcast. Got 2 questions, and then we're just going to ad lib the rest. And we've got to do Jack's quiz, so we're definitely going to have time today. But we're gonna chat and just talk about a whole load of things, which, as you've seen from the first 15 minutes of this podcast, is very easy for us to do. We just run on stupid tangents. But fuck it, that's what today's episode is going to be. And let us know in the comments if you think it's a good way for us to do some of these podcasts. But yeah, anyway, 4 of us, property developers based in the UK, we get together every week and talk shop. Release the podcasts at 5:30 a.m. every Thursday on YouTube and Spotify. Drop us a like, a comment, subscribe. Big love, and enjoy the episode. So, should we start with the 2 questions and then just let it run from there?
Sounds good.
Or should we start with the quiz? Should we just make sure we get the quiz done?
I quite like the fact that this quiz might never get done. So let's do
let's do the questions.
I mean, we can't talk about 2 questions for an hour and a half. We've got something wrong with us if we do that.
No, we definitely can. Here we go. Let's give it a try. Challenge accepted. So, first question from A4D_05. What would you say is the hardest part of your job, or least enjoyable part? I think there's 2. I think there's 2. That's 2 different answers. Yeah, but they're both good. So let's go. Hardest part of your job, and then the least enjoyable part of your job. Starting with Jack.
The hardest part of my job, and Dorian's already said it, is managing the cash flow. You can have a low risk, high profit business, but if the cash flow isn't there, you can't access the low risk profits. You need to get from A to B. So running a development business, and I know these guys in construction too, because we don't have construction in house, is super challenging. To put it in perspective, we deliver 5 developments a year, and our project manager is not getting paid. Our project managers get paid every month, and everyone on our team's getting paid every month. But we might not actually realise the margin or the profits in that scheme for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, depending on the complexity and the size of the scheme. So super difficult to cash flow a development business. So that's definitely the toughest part of the role. And then least enjoyable is probably just like repetitive admin, like filling out forms, document signing forms. And that's why I have a PA and 2 other admin people that help me. Most enjoy flipping that. Most enjoyable, because I think that's a good idea to sort of share, is deals, like deal focus, negotiating, closing deals, structuring deals, negotiating deals. All of that is definitely where I thrive and enjoy, and sort of come into my own.
Beautiful. Stu, what are you saying, mate? So there's 3 there then. So most challenging or hardest, least enjoyable, most enjoyable.
Yeah, I sort of love all parts of it really, and the bits I didn't enjoy, I've sort of cut out. Being a general builder, I didn't enjoy because there's just too many holes to plug. It's just too many things to manage, and there's just too many things that could go wrong. So focusing on a niche, I sort of done that sort of 12 years ago, and I still enjoy and love what we do there. Managing people is the biggest challenge. I think whether it's contractors, third-party consultants, staff members, it's a constant tweak and change and energy drainer, and also or energy charges. You bring the right people in, they do the job, it gets easier, but that's something that never goes away. Building systems as well, I think can be thought of as laborious and boring and a draining task to do until you get on top of it and actually have to make it fun, because without business, without systems, you are just going to fall apart, whether you're small now and as you grow and you 10x, that tiny hairline crack will become a cavern, and you'll fall into it. So that's a challenging part. It could be looked on as boring, but you've got to change your mindset to make it fun. I think everything in business, there is nothing that's effectively boring. You just got to dig deep and see the urgency of it. The bit I enjoy the most, I think, like Jack said, is it from the property side, is the deals. And there's no better drug in this world than someone ringing up, say they want to go ahead, or they put their faith in you, or an offer that's been accepted. It's amazing when you get a deal. You instantly get this fantastic feeling of wow, and then you think instantly the doubt comes in. Shit, why have I won it? Have I overpriced it? Have I missed something? So you have this little spike of adrenaline, or whatever it's called, dopamine, and then bang, you sort of then come into the realism of, okay, now we've got to deliver it. So that's something you need to manage. But yeah, that is the biggest drug, I would say, is having someone put their faith in you and want to proceed, and then that's it. Now you got to deliver. But yeah, I mean, I love all parts of business, to be honest. I wouldn't do it if I didn't.
Good, mate. Fucking good. Wait, did you answer the most? Yeah, you did say the most enjoyable part, didn't you? All right, Dorian, what would you say to those 3 points?
How is my microphone first?
Sounds awful. Awful.
I'm going to throw this thing. What about now? Right, I'll have to just try and stay. I don't know why it's got so sensitive, because the other ones I was able to move around, speak right into it, and it would
Weird.
kind of adjust itself. So that's frustrating. If I'm talking and my microphone goes out again, just make the triangle sign and I'll know. So yeah, or Stuart, just show your little teacup and I'll know that's it's anyway. My most challenging, as Jack said as well, which I jumped in rudely, is cash flow, because it's the thing I hate the most. The cash flow management. It's so frustrating, especially because a lot of it, you can see why the cash flow problems are, and sometimes they shouldn't be there, and it's really irritating because they are. So you could miss, something may just happen on site which causes you not to be able to get a drawdown. That will just throw everything out from a cash flow point of view. A refinance might not come in on time, an investor loan may not come in on time. All these things is just crazy, and unless you keep a very high cash buffer, which then stops you from growing in a way. And the same as you guys, we have so many opportunities. Cash can. I've got more opportunities than I have the available cash to put into. So that's really challenging. And maybe yeah. So that's the most least enjoyable. Then the other one is also uncontrollables and just time. I'm quite an impatient person, and in the property development sector and social housing development sector, it's a slow moving sector where doing a deal within 3 years is classed as fast, i.e. offer accepted, having it through and developed in 3 years. That cycle, that's classed as a fast cycle from a new build development point of view. But that, other businesses like trading businesses where you could have sales on a daily basis, I would probably in hindsight be much more suited to that type of business mentally than. Anyway, I've learned to adjust that, so I'm dealing with it. But my most enjoyable is kind of what Stuart's mentioned as well. When you have that theory of that business plan and it's working. The system, people, you have a good team who are following the processes, and it actually works. The business builds on itself. So some of my most enjoyable moments as I come in, a new deal as came through. The land team have done something positive from a planning point of view themselves, or sold a deal to a housing association. The commercial, construction and technical teams have made good moves on live sites, and they're all running through on budget, etc. And I've not had to do anything from an ops point of view about it. So the business is working. That's the best feeling. It's better than the actual money that you are meant to make from it. And you just want to do more of that, and then say, right, if we can do it here, and if we can do these deals, we should be able to do it over there and do more deals. And then you start ruining things again.
That. You literally have to start again. You change one tweak and you increase one demand of one department, and then everything else falls apart because you have to then do everything. It's just pulling levers and looking at dials. It's great fun. But I don't know why we just can't be content when it's running well and it's all working perfectly. Just walk away and just leave it for 6 months. But no, it's working great. We can 10x's.
I think that's the curse. I think that's the curse of being an entrepreneur in property, because you kind of get too settled with the portfolio and the live projects, and you're like, I just want to look at another shiny penny, another one, and find another way to finance it, and it just keeps fucking going, doesn't it? Doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Just a fun phrase to touch back on the cash flow one, Dorian. One of our main backers is a family office, and they're like £100 million book. They do about 50 to 80 deals a year, so one a week at least. And the founder is an admirable guy. I love spending time with him. I try and go for as many lunches as I can with him. But from a cash flow perspective, he always has a phrase. He said it only ever goes to the right. And what he means by that is when you rerun a cash flow to update everything, you don't ever end up moving anything on an Excel sheet left. It all goes delayed. We're supposed to be in a month, but it's going to be 6 months, and that is the issue. The issue is you're reliant on a lot of moving factors that you can't control, and everything always does go to the right. I think I've probably moved 3 cash flow things in the whole career of our businesses left, where we've gone, oh, that came in quicker than we thought. And that's just
Do you think it's
reality
just
of it.
because we're generally optimistic? To be an entrepreneur, you need to be optimistic, and you've got to hope, and you've got to have, you've got to have this opinion that it's going to be better than maybe more of a realistic, someone who's a bit more of a realistic person would not be as so positive.
Yeah, I was actually talking this through with another developer this week, saying that the difference between analyzing a deal feeling positive and feeling negative
Mm,
can, if you've recently come back off a site and you've overspent and it's been delayed and you're feeling down and it's I very rarely get emotionally impacted by stuff, but let's assume that I did and then stacked a deal that was very similar, I probably would be more negative. But if I hadn't done that deal, I might be more positive. And that what you want to try and do is make sure that the difference between that mood isn't it working and not working,
mm,
and making sure that you have consistent analysis, because you can sometimes kill a deal yourself from negativity. And
Yeah.
it's funny because Ben's super negative on construction and build costs, and I'm super negative on timeframes. So as a blend, when we send, if we're looking at our cash flow, Ben will be like, that will happen before June, won't it? And I'll be like, well, why don't we put September? And if it does happen before in June, we're laughing.
mm.
So
So I'm like Ben on that, Jack, because I'm optimistic on timescales from a cash flow point of view. It's like, when we're in our pipeline meetings, I'm saying, well, we're in planning now, so it should be determined in X months, and then we've got the 106, and then we've got the decision JR period and conditions, and we work with HA, so we should get this done by August. And it ends up being like November, and I'm thinking, but those 3 months then to get from there, I'm like on the team. We have weekly meetings, and I'm like it frustrates me because it shouldn't be the case, but it is the case. But I just wanted to bring a point as well from what you said. I went to a talk, part of the Goldman Sachs thing, and they brought in the founder of Leon, one of the fast food chain. Probably saying
Healthy
fast food
fast food,
probably
isn't it?
yeah, it's the healthy fast food chain. Leon, they sold to the Issa brothers, who had Asda, for 100 million. And one of the biggest things I remember from that talk was he said exactly that there, Jack, is from the time they founded the business all the way through, they had this cash flow. And the cash flow was always telling them that they were going to be positive within 3 to 6 months. And in the next quarter, they would say the same thing, i.e., we've just got another 3 to 6 months to go, and then we're going to be positive. Our cash flow, from like a business point of view, is exactly like that. We've got the pipeline there, but there's just these timings. And he said, eventually, though, if you stay in it long enough, it eventually catches up. As long as the fundamentals are sound, eventually it will catch up. But
we have
it's
the exact
frustrating.
same discussion. So after this podcast, we're meeting with our non-exec advisor. So he's been part of like 400 businesses, their growth, advised on their board, etc. And we have the same discussion. But Ben always goes, but this time next year, Rodney, we're going to be being our own investors in our own schemes. I was like, you've been saying that now for 6 years.
Yeah.
Well, Dorian, did you say what you don't like the most?
I'm kind of like with Stuart on that. I love the whole thing. Like the goal is set, the vision is there. I have the passion for it, and because of that, you learn to love even the tasks you don't like to do. I have a good team around me, so looking at the Eisenhower matrix, if anything comes in that I shouldn't be doing, my team goes straight to my team members, and they all help me with it. So I'm not left with many tasks now that I don't like doing.
I know what you don't like doing.
Yeah.
Not doing stuff in the busince.
What, delegating?
Oh yes.
Ooh.
You're right. I mean, if I'm not doing, if I don't feel like I'm proactively moving the business forward, like I'm just kind of like we talked about, spending your time doing other things. I'll start going into a real like anxious mood. Sundays, I put it in the group chat to you guys. Sundays are really difficult for me because in this business everything moves quite fast. Well, slow but fast. Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday is quite dead. Saturday I do a bit of catching up and have time with the family. But by the time Sunday comes around, I'm reset. I don't need a lot of time to get myself re-energized, and I don't like the silence and the not
I
moving.
do. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, Sundays. I used to work every Saturday and Sunday mornings just to catch up on stuff. And then since having kids, having the Saturday and Sunday off, it is a real gift to
Stu loves
train
it,
your
man.
brain again to not want to work
Get
all
me
the time.
away.
But then as soon as you do it, it's a good place to be. But yeah, we were talking about in the group when we about Sundays being a bit of a lost day where you sort of, I mean, effectively, you open your doors open on a Saturday and you got your staff in, you're effectively 20% better off on your overheads, your cost, of time in and energy you're putting into the business. It's just you should be able to run your business Monday to Friday, and I think that the staff need the time off. I think they used to have like 6 days a week, and then you have 1 day off, and then they tried it at like 4 days a week. Have anyone heard of this or looked into it? Of why we have a 2-day weekend? It was like the optimum amount of time you could squeeze out of people
Yeah, I mean,
to get the most out
I
of them
bring
Monday
this
to
up. I
Friday.
bring this up all the time because who decided everyone in the world works 5 days a week, then has 2 days off? Like,
Industrial Revolution. It
yeah,
was to keep workers in factories and then give them the weekends to enjoy and spend their gains.
yeah, but now I'm a 6-7
Down to
days
4-day week, isn't it?
consecutive. So.
Isn't there some European countries that have dropped it to 4-day weeks? I think
Yeah, I
France
think
do
so.
that
Is it
as well.
Switzerland?
This country's not going far off though. How many more fucking bank
Oh, I
holidays
love
do
a
we
bank
need? Do you know what I
holiday.
mean? We're like gradually getting there.
Yeah, get in and do some work. I love
Oh,
bank
you love a
holidays
bank
and all that
holiday?
because no one's ringing me. I get to do some proper stuff rather than fucking dealing with.
That's what I'd say about Sundays. What I said in the group chat. It's nice to have no inbound and just R&D and focus on shit, and you can really get some progress on stuff. And then Monday comes and you go, oh, I worked on that thing yesterday, and fuck, I'm in it again. You're back in. All right, I'll do mine quick. Obviously, cash flow, yeah, challenging. So I'll try to come up with something else. For what I hate the most, and I'm surprised none of you said it, planning. Just anything with the fucking councils. Just always feel like I'm banging my head against a brick wall. It's the most frustrating part, followed very closely by dealing with lenders, solicitors. I'd say those two things are the most annoying. To be fair, nowadays I don't really deal with that as much. But I remember in the early days, just like if I knew we were getting into a refi, I'd just be like, oh, here we go, just fucking. But yeah, councils, fuck me, just dealing with planning, bollocks. And then the most challenging part. I mean, it is cash flow. So, because if you're growing, it's just cash flow. Like we got 25 grand we have to find every Friday to make sure we pay the lads just for the construction business. And all it takes is a few delayed payments or a bit of this, bit of that. And suddenly you're going, got to pull money from here into company loans, starts to get messy. And then you're untangling that perpetually, but then you're re-tying it in. So yeah, I'll just keep it as cash flow. That is the most challenging thing for a development business because it's so capital intensive. So genuinely, like, I mean, the other day we just found out, fuck yeah, we had $3,000 to pay and rolled up council tax that we hadn't been paying. Just that's $3,000 there. And then you have another $2,000 thing here. They just quickly eat away at you.
Mate, everything that comes in through these doors, right? For some reason, like we're very systemized and we're very good on cost control, but still, there's these bills that come through left, right, and centre they're always in the thousands, and it's just like I read a book called Built to Sell. You probably have all read it, and it's all about modelling your business and getting recurring revenue and getting paid up front and getting to a positive working capital cycle, which is a great. If you get recurring revenue, positive working capital cycle, are you paid up front, and then and you've got basically your cash balance is higher than your profit figures because of that, then is a great business, very valuable, easy to sell, and obviously systemized, blah, blah blah. But in our sectors, if you had your time again, or if you completely was starting again, how would you redo it to streamline, reduce that cash flow pressure?
This is exactly why we've done what we've done. Not only to extend the lifetime value of a client, but also sourcing and project management is front loaded to get that commitment from the client. So we're always getting a cash cushion up front. The construction is healthy chunks of cash every week. Obviously, sometimes get delays, but every week we're getting paid. So we're not working too long in arrears, and then we're getting the residual on the rental on the back end. So even once the client's finished with us, we're still then making trail, if you like, on their project, and at each point we're adding value for the service. So we're three dynamic forms of income, but the problem is we run our own developments. So our own developments are the things that swallow all of the cash. We've got loads of profit on paper, but no fucking cash in the bank some weeks, and you're just like, how does this happen? Oh yeah, because we're running our own development here and it's swallowing everything. Fucking
So
brilliant.
what we do, so we I read a book called Profit First quite a few years ago, and it was just about making sure you're paying yourself first on top of all that cash flow. So once a week, I set up a completely separate bank account with Virgin. I think it was like Virgin Money. They were given the best interest rate at the time, repayment rate at the time. So we just basically put £5,000 a week in every week. It goes out like a cost of sale, and that just builds up over time. So when you're going through the good times, because we're quite seasonal as well, we make more money in the summer than we do in the winter, just because of the weather and everything else. But it's there as like a bit of a buffer. So yes, it should be profit, but we don't pull profit. We'll just reinvest. So you're in this conundrum all the time between having cash in the bank that's doing nothing for you, that's effectively depreciating, or you want to reinvest into other things and grow your company in other areas, whether it's on plant, hire, more staff, more properties. We lend it to other businesses for a small interest rate, but then you've got to sort of forecast enough in time to go, well, can we spend this 150 grand on this decision, or are we going to run into an 80 grand problem in 3 months? And that's the constant balancing of running a business, is knowing how much to invest, how much to save. And the amount of times we've gone, shit, we've had a delay, let's pull 50 grand out of this sub account that just ticks up over time. And we don't miss 5 grand a week. It sort of goes away, and all of a sudden you're looking at it and there might be 180 grand, there might be 90 grand. We pull another sort of 60 grand out of the pot and we let it tick away again. But it's always good to have that sort of buffer. So in those 25 grand payments, right, I'd be aiming for sort of 30 grand a week, needs to be hitting all the time. And out of that 30, just building your 5 grand sort of buffer. It's there for profit, but ultimately we don't take profit. We reinvest and look longer term.
Is that because your trading businesses should get paid in advance?
We do, yeah. We get paid. We get paid on stages throughout the build, so it's geared on our payment structure.
Yeah,
So our terms of business, and they pay in milestones.
So you've structured that where you get paid before you pay your supply chain,
Oh
and
yeah,
you
yeah,
get your initial deposit to help. So as long as your sales cycle keeps coming through, you're always cash positive from that. You should be.
yep, yeah. So we get paid a deposit up front. We get paid a secondary stage design, which is to pay for the third party consultancy costs before we pay them, and then we're gearing up around scaffolding erection, which gets paid before the scaffolding goes up. Materials delivery before the materials, but then we've also got a 30-day credit terms, or net 30, which effectively could be 60 days down the road, and when we pay for the materials. But we're always working ahead of the curve, and at the end there's a small balance which they pay.
So
Um,
our working capital cycle is positive, save for our pipeline investment. Our pipeline investment is what absorbs cash, and it
your soft
takes.
costs, right? All your soft costs for new jobs you pay for.
Yes. So, yeah, exactly. Signing jobs up, so securing land options, conditional contracts, the planning cost reports, and all of that. We've got 30 sites in the pipeline, and the average time is taken is nearly 2 years to get them through that cycle, and the average cost is between £2,000 to £5,000 per unit. So we've got 1,000 units in the pipeline. That means we'll need between 2 to 5 million
Shit.
just of soft costs to service that. Very quickly, it becomes it's the driver of a cash problem basically, and so making and then like you mentioned in the cash flow, it says, well, we're selling this site and we're getting all of our cash back, and then we're getting this project, and then we're doing that. We're starting a site every other month, but then all of a sudden we get, because it's planning, like Ryan, we'll have a delay for 4 months on one project from one email, which you didn't expect last minute. And that's it. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, your cash flow just gets blown out, and you're like, "Whoa!" It's so that's how we're still trying to figure out how we can
What's your
nail.
average? What's your average